X-Men Apocalypse is directed by Bryan Singer and stars James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Sophie Turner, and Ty Sheridan. And in this movie, the world's first mutant known as Apocalypse, played by Oscar Isaac, arises from a deep sleep, and the X-Men have to stop him. Now let me say this, when the trailers for this movie were coming out, I was super pumped for this movie. It looked amazing from the trailers, and when reviews started coming out, I was like, oh, really? This is getting bad reviews? This movie's bad? So I was kind of surprised. But I gotta say, this movie was incredibly disappointing. Let me say this. This is not a bad movie necessarily, but my God. Okay, let me say this. The other two X-Men movies that came before this, which are Deadpool and X-Men Days of Future Past, those are two great movies. So, the fact that this movie is following up those two great movies, it's like they hit 2 home runs and 1 miss. As I said, this movie's not bad necessarily. It still has good stuff in it. Like, James McAvoy's very good. Michael Fassbender's great. The cast, for the most part, is very good. There's one great scene with Magneto, and the drama with him is good. Some of the action's cool. And, man, I mean, and now I noticed this, and I didn't notice this when I saw it in theaters, but now I realize this. Some of the CGI in this movie is, like, absolutely god-awful. I'm talking downright ugly. Like, some of the CGI in this movie is horrendous. Like, some of it looks really, really fake. Like, my God. I mean, the CGI on, like, say, whenever Mystique switches from her Jennifer Lawrence form to blue form, yeah, that still looks good. But, some of the CGI in this movie is downright awful. Apocalypse as a villain wasn't very good. The trailers made him look amazing, but in the movie, he's not a very good villain. I'm sorry, he's just not a good villain. There is one great cameo, and, I mean, everyone's seen this movie by this point. I mean, well, but I still won't spoil it. There's one great cameo in this movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That saves the entire movie. The score is good. And I gotta be honest, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but out of all the X-Men movies, I think this is my least favorite. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, wait, you think this movie's worse than X-Men Origins Wolverine? Okay, let me say this. I don't love X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I don't hate it either. And as I said, when I saw Origins Wolverine, I was like young, and I did not know about Rotten Tomatoes back then. So obviously, it's like I didn't go into X-Men Origins Wolverine with expectations. When I saw it, I just remember, like, really enjoying it, and I didn't think it was a big, disappointing mess. I mean, yes, there was a lot of stuff in that movie that, like, could have been removed, but this movie I had expectations for, and I was very let down. Where, let me say this, X-Men Origins Wolverine I wasn't let down with. Apocalypse I was let down with. And you know what? At least like with Origins, I mean, I know some people say that some of the action scenes were, like, horribly done, but you know what? I think when you compare the action scenes of this movie to that one, those action scenes were amazing. I know that sounds bizarre. And also, that movie had, like, Hugh Jackman in it, and with this movie, I mean, yes, you got James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, but there is no main character to connect with. I mean, yes, it's a team movie, but so at some points it try to make you feel for Cyclops, sometimes Jean, sometimes Professor X, and it's like, who are we following here? Because, like, with the other X-Men movies, we were following someone. Wolverine. This movie, we don't know who to follow. I'm sorry, this movie is all over the place. I mean, as I said, this movie's not bad, but it's easily my least favorite X-Men movie, and I'm going to give X-Men Apocalypse a B-. Don't worry, the one that came after this movie was much better.